Human.
Hey, check this out. Just like the Wild, we're back in action with another Wild Wednesday, and your shot at tickets to Wild versus Lightning. That's on March 3rd. That's coming up. Just use the iHeartRadio app to send us a talk back and tell us who lights the lamp for the Wild first when they take on Colorado tomorrow night. You can get full details, KFAN.com. The keyword is always contests.
Benny G, Ben Goessling, at Ben Goessling via X. How old were you in 1999?
I turned 16 that year.
Okay, so you were a Vikings fan. You were a football fan.
Yeah,
watching Vikings games,
yep.
Listening to them on the radio, maybe.
Yep.
Do you happen to remember a Jeff George?
Yes,
who was quarterback.
Of course, yeah.
He's going to be here an hour and change from now. It's so unbelievable. He's a live wire.
I mean, when the quarterbacks go on Friday or Saturday, they work out. I mean, send him over there because I bet in terms of like letting a 9-route go, he could probably still sling it about as much as anybody who's going to be on that field.
Holy cow! Pete was
all-time arm.
Pete was on the team, man. We're going to bring this up with Jeff. I'm making Jeff a 96.5%er that he shows, maybe 92.5%. He'll be here.
He'll be here.
But Pete was on the team that year. They're at Silverdome. Randall Cunningham's having a really, really rough run of it. And Denny Green at halftime made the decision to go to the gunslinger. And he won 8 of 10 games the rest of the way. You guys lost in the divisional round.
St. Louis.
At TWA Dome at that time.
Water bottle game, right?
Yeah, kickoff return and first play. First
starting
second
Horn,
half.
Joe Horn, or something like that.
Yeah.
But during the playoffs that year, Jeff George 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, man, and Pete played with him. I mean, that had to be cool.
He was everything that you hear about him as. Attitude and all. As a teammate, you could not ask for a better guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could not ask for a better teammate than Jeff George. He was absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I met him when I was in high school because I got recruited to Illinois, and he showed up when we were out. He pulls up in this orange Corvette.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
He's the number one pick in the draft.
I mean, he gets out, and then
he was.
A girl like straight out of a Motley Crue video. I don't know if it's his wife or not, but she got out of the. It was one of the greatest.
Phoebe Cates from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Exactly right. It was one of the greatest entrances I've ever seen. Wow. It was like you knew. He was royalty down there. I mean, that back they made a run with him at quarterback down there for. Yeah, he's epic.
Yeah, a man nicknamed the Slappy. Jeff George will join us about an hour from now from Indianapolis in the Scouting Combine. So the Vikings, with adding a veteran quarterback, do you have any steam? Do you have any leans, or is it too early?
I mean, I think the names that have been out there are, we know what the list is going to look like. You've got,
let me go through them one by one.
Yeah.
And just stream your consciousness. Kirk Cousins.
I mean, there's still a lot of good feelings about him in the building. Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins have a great relationship. Is he the long-term, or at least even a guy to get you through the season answer at 38? I think that's the question. Optics with McCarthy are a little strange. I think there's a possibility. I don't know that that's like the set it and forget it kind of plan.
So if you flirt with Kirk, do you think Kirk is in a position in his career where he can say, love it there, want to come back, Mendota Heights, go crazy, but I have to start? Can he say that at this stage of his career?
That's the question. I think he would like to be in a place where he could start. I think that would be important to him. I don't see him as a guy that's going to say, I'm just going in as a backup at this point. I don't think he would look at it that way. Does the familiarity with the Vikings, does his read on the situation make him say, I could come back to this and possibly win the job? I think that goes into it. I think he'd want to be somewhere where he could play, though. I think that'll still be important to him.
All right, now
give him a year to massage his way into the television side of things. He's dipped his toes and done well, and he can
pretty good at
that Vikings Entertainment Network studio that we have in Egan. Holy cow, what a great starting place.
Zip's not here anymore. He can get back on the podcast. I think you should get off the podcast.
That's the best, Ben. What a steel trap memory.
We used to use that as like our sign off on our Access Vikings show, like that bit of Zimmer going, I think you should get off the podcast. That used to be how we close the show.
Elite.
So.
Okay, now I read something yesterday. The Vikings have a coach named Jordan Traylor. He's heading into his second year with the Vikings. He's the assistant offensive coordinator, and he just does a lot of ancillary offensive things for Kevin O'Connell. I got to know him super hard-working guys, like always working behind the scenes. Well, he also has worked with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
So there was just, I don't know if I can't remember the websites or whatever, but it wasn't you.
Yeah.
It wasn't Shefty. So therefore, I'm just going to use it as like ancillary information. But Derek Carr, what do you think? Is there anything to it?
I mean, you'd have to pull him out of retirement, but it's a guy, again, with familiarity. He's a guy that's played in similar offenses. That one's a little hard for me to see that being the answer because I also think if you can find somebody that is possibly an option longer than a year, I think that's preferable.
Okay.
I think that one is I wouldn't put it at a 0. It's a little hard for me to see it.
What about Carson Wentz?
I mean,
with a full offseason.
Yeah. Again, it'd be somebody that knows the offense. I think that's a possibility. I wouldn't kill that one either. My question is, what are you looking for in that position? Are you looking for somebody that's more of a long-term option?
Personally speaking, for a very short-term option, if he's interested. Last year, if we had talked about it at this time, I would have been negative on Aaron Rodgers. And then I watched him play during the season.
Yeah.
I'm not super negative on Aaron Rodgers being a quarterback here. What about you?
Well, I think there are people in the building that wanted it to happen. I mean, not to the degree that it was going to get over the top, but yeah, he played well, and I think the question is he going to fit in the building? How does he fit with Kevin O'Connell? All of that stuff. I mean, they have a relationship that would be something that Kevin O'Connell would have to decide, is this going to work for our team in this structure?
Yeah.
But, I mean, he played well enough to get them to the playoffs, and I think reclaimed a little bit of a framing of his career. You kind of thought, okay, he's done. He's, is he still going to be a productive guy in the building? I think some of those questions got answered a little more favorably for him last year.
All right. And lastly, could there be any legs to trading with San Francisco for Mac Jones?
I mean, I think the 49ers have sort of indicated they don't want to give him up, but as we know, that usually just means, okay, people got to pay a little more. I mean, if anybody's saying at this stage, we don't want to give somebody up, you can usually read that as, okay, we're not going to give them away for free, and the price will have to be there, but yeah, I mean, I think that is a possibility. They've done it before with guys coming from that building. Sam Darnold came from that building. So, I think that one is, of the names we mentioned, I don't love Mac Jones, but I think the formula, they may look at it and say, hey, this is a possibility. Of the names we mentioned, I think that one probably is the most likely.
Got it.
All right, free agents. Which ones do you want to see back, and then which ones do you think are most likely to be back?
Well, I mean, Vikings free agents?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are a ton of unrestricted. I mean, it's a lot of these questions of who's going to get cut and who's going to have to get restructured. Eric Wilson is one that I wonder about. I think with the year he had, if you can get him back affordably, I think that one makes a lot of sense. Jalen Naylor.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough.
I think it's going to be hard, but it'd be nice to have him.
And sorry to interrupt, but to piggyback on the quarterback situation, our biggest spend on the team is a wide receiver.
Correct.
You got to keep him going.
Yes.
Right? That investment that you made, you dig it. Right, you have to have someone throwing on the football.
Absolutely.
And then after that, so it's like, well, what do? You pay JJ a ton of money, and you have two backups or two guys that are, really whatever ancillary.
Yeah.
Make him the guy all by himself, or do you try to keep a Jalen Naylor around and bring in someone else and build again around him or Addison? We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
with him.
and the Addison question is part of the Naylor thing too, because Addison has the 5th-year option decision this year, and that money gets higher. I mean, that gets to be probably north of $18 million. I'm trying to remember exactly what it would be, but I think
too bad he's not a running back.
Right.
Yeah, it would be cheaper if it was a running back at this point. How much the game has changed there, but so it makes it harder to do all of that. But yes, given the questions about Addison long term, if you could get Naylor back at a decent price, I think they'd love to do it.
That ain't happening, right?
I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think he's going to have enough of a market that they may say, we love you, but we can't spend $7-8 million, or maybe more than that. I don't know.
And here's why I don't want to be flippant in saying ain't happening, but I was chatting with some Indianapolis people yesterday, and they're focused on their team. The people are working with the Colts, and so they got a wide receiver named Alec Pierce.
Yep.
All right, set to be a free agent, and they were telling me because of the free agent talent or lack thereof with wide receivers, like this price that Pierce might command.
Yeah,
and I'm like, are you kidding me? Holy cow. I mean, it's because the teams have money to spend, and it's not a great free agent wide receiver class. Yeah. So I think that is, and they're over the cap, the Vikings to start.
Yes.
But I think that's going to price them out of the Jalen Naylor market.
It very well could, and there's a lot of teams around the league that play similar offenses to what the Vikings do. They'll probably looked at Jalen Naylor in this offense.
Oh, so he's going to be around
here. That's a possibility. Yeah, I think that's a possibility.
I don't know.
Yeah, Nakua left, Naylor right, Stafford back to pass. Sounds good enough to eat. With this offseason and October and change removed from that injury at Los Angeles on Thursday night for Christian Darrisaw, I mean, is it a 0%er next year that they go through anything weekly with Darrisaw like they did last year? I mean, what a buzzkill that was.
I think they would be. And when Kevin O'Connell said, I fully expect this to be behind us in 2026, I think that is very important to them that it is. I mean, I think if you're going into another season where this is a weekly question, you can't have that with your left tackle, especially when you're paying him that much.
You've got to figure out the center position first, and not, you can't be worried about that. So that leads to my next question, basically center and tight end.
Yeah.
Hawkinson, most likely to be back. Probably not going to be back, and then what do you do there?
Well, in fact, let's take it a step farther because we only have a few minutes. When it comes to getting under the cap, Hawkinson, Javon Hargrave, Ryan Kelly, some other names like restructuring Brian O'Neill. You think all of that's
Jefferson?
An extension.
You got all kinds of stuff.
There's a lot of buttons they can push. So the cap stuff is not as hard to fix this year as some of them have been over the last 7 or 8 years when they've been in this boat. I think Hargrave would be a guy that I would expect is probably moved.
Moved as in traded?
Traded or released. I think that's very possible.
Okay.
Ryan Kelly, you mentioned, he's got to decide if he wants to play with the concussions and everything else. But the cap number is one that I think makes it a little hard to bring him back at that price, especially when the health is the big question. You need a center that can be a good counterpart for your quarterback, but I think that one is going to be a tough one to figure out. And then, TJ Hawkinson, he's got a void year in the deal, so you could do some restructuring. But I do wonder at that number, given where he's been, are you going to say, let's kind of cut bait here? And I think it's possible that he's a release. He has not delivered, and some of it, obviously, it's the ACL coming back from that, but he has not produced at the degree that they've paid him.
He was number 2 in receptions. That's what his agent's going to say.
Yeah,
right. 51. He was number 2 in receptions.
The downfield element of it, some of the run after catch that we used to see. Right. Yes, he is. But yes, that is going to be part of the discussion, no doubt.
Really, really good stuff with Ben Goessling. All right, you're familiar with Meat Sauce?
Yes.
Yeah, Paul Lambert, Power Trip Morning Show. So he loves the draft, loves the offseason, and he sent me 6 questions to ask people while I was here. I'm calling it 6 for Sauce. I already went through one. Give us your best 20 to 30 seconds on each of these 6 for Sauce topics. Pick 18. Is it best player available?
Yeah, I think so. I think they are going to not overthink it. I think they've gotten that spot before you're trying to fill a need. I think best player available will be very much, especially with Rob Brzezinski running it, I think that becomes a bigger focus perhaps even than it's been the last few years.
And not knowing the future of Aaron Jones. Okay, so I got no idea what's next with Aaron, but he kept getting hurt last year. Love Aaron. Hope he's on the team. You get the whole drill. A high-end running back like Breece Hall via free agency, or do they find one in the draft who plays?
Yeah, I think if you can find one in the draft, that's a better way to do it because it's cheaper.
Yep.
But yes, I think a running back is very much going to be in play, somebody dynamic, somebody that can be a counterpart to Jordan Mason. I think they love Aaron Jones, but I think getting younger and more explosive there is important.
6 for Sauce. Saucy. Oh, yeah. If they trade a second-rounder for Mac Jones, does that automatically make him a starter?
I would not necessarily say that makes him the starter. I think there will be a competition, and I think it will be a legitimate competition that J.J. McCarthy will have to answer the bell and possibly win. But, I think if they make that kind of a move, and that may be what it takes.
Yeah.
I mean, all bets are off into the starter. They're going to go best quarterback out of that camp.
And finally, for the Scribe, Anyway, 6 for Sauce. Anyway, J.J. McCarthy is not on the team in 2026.
Well, yeah, if they make a big trade and somebody says, hey, we want him because we want to still see if there's something there. Yeah, there's a possibility of that. I think that's a little bit of a hard bank shot to hit. But, Joe Burrow is the name everybody talks about. I don't know that Joe Burrow is going to be available this year. I think that's going to be a pretty tough boulder to move. But, yeah, there is that type of a scenario that it's not impossible it goes that way, but I would be surprised if it happened.
Star Tribune, StarTribune.com, Access Vikings, mini pods with Emily Leiker, tweets, newsletters. What do you got coming up Combine related?
All of those things. The newsletter at the end of the week. Kind of, here's what I've heard at the Combine, some of the things that we've been talking to people about through the week. There'll be more mini pods with Emily, and then a longer pod, and she'll have a good story on StarTribune.com and in the paper later this week on Rob Brzezinski and what that's going to look like.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Ben Goessling, the Scribe. Weekly 9 to noon, weekly or every so often with Dan Barrero, and a valued card-carrying member of the Love Covenant, 9 to noon from Indianapolis and the NFL Scouting Combine. When we return, an interview I conducted yesterday with former Vikings offensive coordinator and current Atlanta Falcons head coach Kevin Stefanski. That's next on KFAN. Kevin Stefanski coached with the Minnesota Vikings for 16 years. He finished here as offensive coordinator, went on to become a 2-time coach of the year with the Cleveland Browns, and now as head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Ran into Kevin Calm yesterday at the JW Marriott, put a microphone in front of him and said, "You look pretty good in black and red. How are things?"
Yeah, feeling good in black and red, Paul. It's a great time of the year for me as a coach to be back here and seeing old friends and that type of thing. And then it's the fun part for me also is just this is first year with this club, first year with the roster acquisition period and getting to know some players and trying to find some future Falcons.
When things ended the way they did in Cleveland, personally speaking, with all the time you put in there, 2-time coach of the year, we had that playoff game you guys won when you were in your basement against Pittsburgh. I mean, you put a lot of time in there. That couldn't have been easy, despite the way it ended.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, 6 years in one place, you make so many friends. I mean, not just coaches, but players and staff. There's people that you care deeply about. So that's the hard part in this business when there's change, because it doesn't change how you feel about people. But having said that, that's the business. That's what we signed up for. And so I understood that when I took the job. But you understand it when you take all these jobs, that these are not lifetime appointments. You just got to try and do the best you have with everything that's in front of you.
Well, your new PR guru, Matt, has set you up very nicely even for a Twin Cities interview on KFAN with the way you put it. But let's be straight here. That's the first time that's ever happened to you in your professional career. And you're not an overly prideful guy. I've just known that about you forever. But when it comes to moving to the next one, what hit you immediately? Like when you accepted the job, all right, well, here's some good things and here's some things that I would do differently. Like, did all of that hit you at once?
Yeah, I think I have tried to, Paul, over my career is learn something, if not every day, every month, every year, learn from all these shared experiences. So when you do get the second one and you have this opportunity, which I don't take lightly, I mean, to be with Matt Ryan, Ian Cunningham, to be stewards of this franchise. I mean, it's important to me to make sure we do everything in our power. Do I lean on some of the things that I've done in the past? Absolutely. Are there good things? Absolutely. Are there things I would do differently? Absolutely. You take all that with you. But I'm excited about what we have in front of us, and I'm really excited about the people that I get to work with.
That would include Bijan Robinson, and that's not a bad way to start things, right?
No, and this young man is a special person. He's a stud, as good as he is as a football player, and he's good. Don't get me wrong, he's a better person, and just getting to know him a little bit off the field, if you will, and knowing what he's about, I'm just so thrilled that he's the type of guy that's at the forefront of everything we do.
Now, Kevin, before you became head coach for the Cleveland Browns, whether you're working with Bill Musgrave or you're working with Darrell Bevel or all of these Pat Shurmur, these coordinators with whom you worked, tight ends
always mattered a lot, specifically to Shermer, and running the play action off a good back, having multifaceted tight ends who can beat you different ways. And you guys are going to have Kyle Pitts back with the franchise tag, and you got that running back. So, I mean, people can, correct me if I'm wrong, people can describe it as a passing league, got to spread everything out, pistol, the whole thing. Really, it's age old to have a good tight end or good tight ends, a good running back, and that's not a bad way to play, right?
No, it's not. And, you know, I've coached tight ends as a position coach. I've coached running backs as a position coach. I have a great affinity for those positions, and those two players in particular allow you to do different things. I think what I would speak to those guys is just their versatility. Bijan's a guy that you can line him up everywhere. You can throw it to him. You can hand it to him. Kyle's a guy that over the course of his career, he's really lined up everywhere. He's played outside the numbers. He's played in the slot. He's played from the backfield. So there's certainly a versatility there that we need to tap into as offensive coaches.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. You've always been a Chris Lindstrom fan. I mean, I remember when it was 2018 or 19 around there, he was coming out of Boston College. You and I were chatting about players and stuff, and I just remember you always saying good things about him. Now you get to coach him.
Yeah, there was it wasn't Winter Park. It was Egan. We were out of Winter Park at the time, but in Egan there was a lot of fans in that building of Chris Lindstrom that year when he was coming out. I can still remember when he was picked, and there were some disappointed people in that draft room. He's wired the right way. He's a great scheme fit, and he's been a really, really good pro.
Kevin Stefanski, Atlanta Falcons' new head coach, with us from the Indianapolis Scouting Combine. Jeff Ulbrich. I thought it was really, really cool. And, you know, I don't know Jeff, but I mean, I know of him and what he does. Because generally, you know, when there's a new staff or a new coach coming in, people are like, all right, great, we got to move again, honey, and this and that. And you kept him, and you empowered him that way. What do you like about it?
Well, PA, I was a young coach that was retained over my time when I was with the Vikings. There was new coaches, and so I don't automatically say when I come in or a new coach comes in that everybody's got to go, because I know there's good coaches in the building. So we were able to retain 9 coaches from the previous staff, which I'm excited about, and obviously Brick is a guy that I'm enjoying working with right now. I can't wait to get to this season with him, but he's wired the right way, the way he thinks about the game. I think there's a really cool amount of scheme that he brings. There's a really cool amount of swag that he brings, which is important when you're coaching defensive football. So, I couldn't be more thrilled to be coaching with Brick.
Somebody with whom you worked with the Vikings multiple times, I think like 2014 and 2019 before you left, Clint Kubiak. Gets a Super Bowl as offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. That's fantastic. Then becomes head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, brings Andrew Janocko with him. But for the purpose of Clint, you know, I know you guys have been important to each other no matter where you've been. Likewise for his father, Gary. Did you talk to Clint during the process, you know, about like what goes into what he's doing?
Yeah, many times. Clint he's my football brother. So we're very close. I couldn't be more thrilled for him. Number one, winning a Super Bowl, so I'm very jealous of him. But for him to go get his opportunity out there in Vegas, I think the world of the person. He's going to crush it. But I'm really happy for him. I'm happy for the family that they get to experience this. But he's a stud, as we know.
And Kevin, you know this because we've chatted about it. I mean, you start in Minnesota in 06, and you're there until they, you know, when they lose to after the 19, when they lose to the Niners in the divisional round. So, I mean, that's nearly a decade and a half in one spot. And then you're in Cleveland for 6 years, 6 years. Now, so you haven't had to uproot your family as much as a lot of people that we know have. That's a blessing, but nevertheless, how are your kids and your wife and your family and everything handling this move?
No, I appreciate that, Paul. I would say everybody's got the right mix of excitement and nervousness and all those things that go into change. Change can be hard, but the kids are awesome. The kids are resilient, as we all know. So it's important to me and my wife in setting our kids up, making sure we get the school right and making sure they're comfortable in our next stop. But yeah, they're ready for the next adventure.
The owner of the team, Arthur Blank, I mean, all owners want to win. I mean, Arthur, I mean, you could just tell when you listen to him talk about some things that he really, really wants to win now. What was it like when you met him and you got to know him a little bit?
Yeah, really an incredible person. What resonated with me is how he believes people should be treated, and people at work and his associates that work with him. He treats people the right way, and there's an amount of servant leadership that comes from Arthur that I really, really admire, and that's something that was evident to me right when I started talking to him.
What does that mean? Servant leadership?
Yeah, that means putting yourself in the background, allowing others to have success, empowering others to do what they do, and doing everything in your power as a leader, and in this case, Arthur's case, to make sure that others are getting the glory, others are set up for success.
Amen. There's so many different things we can talk about because you've worked with so many interesting people and seen so many things for so many years. But what do you think of this? Drew Petzing, okay? Formerly offensive coordinator for Arizona. Now he's the offensive coordinator in the NFC North with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and those nice receivers. And he gets to go against former Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon, and you were with both of them with the Vikings. Gannon is Green Bay's defensive coordinator. I mean, that's good enough to eat.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun matchup for those guys when it comes twice a year next year, where Drew's calling plays against JG, which, I mean, think about how many football conversations those guys have had over the years. So there's going to be a meta level of discussion to be had in terms of what they're trying to do on that Sunday.
How much last two for Kevin Stefanski from the Combine? Norv Turner. With Norv, two-time Super Bowl champion, he wants to power run, and he wants to vertical pass. Okay, well, you guys worked under and/or with Norv. I'm talking Drew, you, and other offensive people. Did that kind of set in stone for you at that time, the importance of doing that? Because your run schemes have always been super well respected. Likewise for Petzing, squeezing everything he could out of that thing down in Arizona after the injuries. And now, he gets hired by Detroit. His run game concepts are just unique and really good, but it's a passing league, they keep telling us. But, what do you think of like the Norv Turner influence for you guys?
I mean, Norv was a huge influence on all of us, Clint included, and Drew, myself, Andrew Janocko, Scott Turner. We've obviously all studied under Norv, and just was so cool just watching him put together a game plan and how we were going to attack them through the run game. Was never afraid to just pack it in and play bully football when you had to. And then that opened up all those six routes, as Norv calls them, and those deep in cuts and those throws in the intermediate zones. I mean, that's all built from what Norv had success doing in Dallas with Troy Aikman and those guys, and then just over the years, Phillip Rivers, and certainly a lot of things that we're doing there in Minnesota.
Lastly, general manager of the team said at the Combine, Kirk Cousins is going to be released by the team first day of the league year. We both know Kirk incredibly well. You worked with Kirk, high character guy. Man, he had a game on Monday Night Football last year for the Birds against the LA Rams. I think it was Monday or Thursday, one of the two. Holy cow. I mean, he just chewed him up, and it looked like vintage Kirk. I'm not going to ask you your opinion of the situation, but like moving forward, I know you got Penix coming off injury. How do you feel about the quarterback spot?
Yeah, obviously feel great about Michael, but recognizing the most important thing for him is to get healthy. That's really what matters right now. We can't start football in earnest until April 7th, so that's where his focus is. And then when it comes to quarterback position, really any position on the roster at this point for all 32 teams, it's February. You got time to work through everything, but I feel really strongly about the player that Michael can become with development.
Well, that's one of the very best right there. Two-time Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski, former offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings hook Kevin Stefanski's Birds at U.S. Bank Stadium this year. Likewise for the Chicago Bears, who obviously the Vikings play twice because they're in the NFC North. And Courtney Cronin of ESPN covers the Chicago Bears in second to none fashion. She joins us on air, on site, on demand, and the whole thing will be on fire next.
We all had that teacher who believed in us. You can show your gratitude with Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. Nominate a public school teacher to win $5,000 for their classroom. This week, we want to give a shout out to Eileen Jenigas. a special education teacher at Carver Elementary School. Nominate a teacher to thank today at iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
ESPN, ESPN.com covers the Chicago Bears, card-carrying member of the Love Covenant, and is quite familiar with the Minnesota Vikings from her days covering the team and the NFC North. And she's X amount of hours removed from a Women in the NFL event, which last night was year 3?
Year 8.
Year 8?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Year 8. Isn't that crazy?
Well, how come I've only been invited to the last 3? I'm playing.
We've increased our marketing efforts.
Yeah, I understand.
Over the last couple of years.
And we also added one of my best friends, the banker, Tim Siegley, First Resource Bank, into the equation. He has all of Courtney's albums, and so therefore, with like the contribution that Tim makes, like what does that go for with the evening?
So the raffle that we do, we've started like expanding what the event is. It's the Good Karma brands. Chicago Bears pay for the open bar, the food. They make it. I want this event to be free for as long as we do it, because I want people to have a place to come together to enjoy each other's company and to learn how do you navigate the combine.
Yeah.
I didn't know when I first started, so that's what kind of inspired me to build this event. And then Tim and First Resource Bank's incredible contributions go to all of the raffle items, the door prizes, and allowing us to, bring people in to document the event. So, like, paying for a photographer, paying for someone to come, like, shoot video and all of that. So it's incredible. We have so many great partners. I'm just overwhelmed at what this event is. Or, somewhere over like 200, 250 to 300 people that came last night.
Well, last night was the first time that you weren't relegated to the top floor.
We had both upstairs and downstairs.
Yeah, the whole thing.
It's incredible.
Right.
Wow.
With just a ton of people. And is my man's name for CHGO Adam Hogue?
Yes.
Yeah, I know last name's Hogue. But he and I yesterday were talking about the mentorship program.
Yeah. That's new this year.
That's
we
new.
Just started it.
Well, what is it? And like, what are you aiming to accomplish?
So I'd had requests in previous years, like people wanting to have more programming around the night of, can I mentor somebody? Can I can I provide some sort of guidance about how to do the combine? I've had other people ask, like, hey, can I shadow you for the week? And usually when you get here, everything's already so chaotic. You've got, jam-packed days with everything. So I wanted to connect people ahead of time. So then when they get there, we had a mentor-mentee pairing. People went downstairs, had a chance to have one-on-one time. Like watching Diana Rossini, who's one of the foremost insiders in our business.
Right.
Go and talk to some, young 20-something who's just starting. So it's the pass it on mentality that I wanted to, put into my event and to have others benefit from it, because people helped me along the way. This is my way of being able to give that back.
Well, and lastly here, being a woman in the NFL and this being an 8-year event, now we added the mentorship program. Growing this evening and the totality of what it potentially could become year-round for some people.
I would love it.
You see what I'm saying? It's like growing what you're doing here. It's very important to you, isn't it?
It is, and I would love to see this go places like the Super Bowl, the Senior Bowl.
Here we go.
The owners' meetings. We do some informal gatherings other places, but an event of this magnitude where you have hundreds of people coming out to support, I would like to see more of these.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. So, no chance the Bears go to Indiana, right? It's not like if we talked about this last year, it'd be a 0. But I'm saying it's a 2 or a 3%. Come on.
I don't think it's super realistic right now.
Yeah.
Because I still think Illinois is going to have a chance to rebuttal, have a chance to give a best and final offer. But the fact of the matter is the wheels have been greased for them to come to Indiana if they so choose. If they run out of options, because you can't fault the Bears for at least attempting, given the roadblocks that they've had, to try to get this thing built somewhere.
For sure.
the bill passes last Thursday, the Senate Bill 27, which will provide like the ability to issue bonds, fund constructions, help aid in the construction, the funding of the stadium. And the Bears would still be committing their $2 billion, but it's the taxpayer help that they get from a place like Indiana that they would not get somewhere else, maybe. Because Illinois is trying now. They say that it took a while to get to this point because the Bears were going from Arlington Heights back to focusing on Chicago. Now they're focusing on both. Now it's Arlington Heights. Now it's Indiana. I think Bears fans are kind of tired of all of the ping-ponging back and forth.
Yeah.
It's too much. You've got to find. There's been 4 years of this. There needs to be some sort of tangible progress.
Wow.
And I think that we're going to get close to it within the first quarter of the year. I just feel like it's come to a head at this point that you can't keep delaying this, and that's why the Bears are trying to put pressure on. Like how I read the Indiana thing is they're trying to put pressure on the state of Illinois to make this happen.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can sometimes. Yeah. I mean, the back and forth. All right. Well, the Bears, what are they going to do at safety? Right.
Well, hold on. Let me ask one more off this.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Kevin Warren, former Vikings chief operating officer, president of the Bears. We know Kevin as detailed, and I mean, if Kevin wants something, Kevin generally gets it.
Sure.
This 4 years. I mean, like Kevin's role in this whole thing. Like how's that working out?
I think the project that, there's not a parallel here. I know a lot of people thought, okay, well, he did it in Minnesota. He's going to be able to do it here. It will be, snap your fingers, stadium's up in 36 months. Illinois politics are a little different. And you're dealing with a team that isn't, frankly, as liquid. Ownership is not as liquid as the Wilfs and others across the league. So I think that's a big portion of it for a team that's never owned its own stadium since they moved to Illinois or moved to Chicago in 2021. So there's a lot of mitigating factors here that Kevin's had to navigate in this process that I'm sure he would say were completely different hurdles than what he faced with Arden Hills and being able to get it built in Minneapolis. I mean, you were building it literally on the site of the former stadium. A lot different now with trying to get it done in Arlington Heights. But I think the Bears statement last week when they say we're doing our due diligence, this is the most meaningful step in getting in any part of their stadium building process. But I still think we're a ways away from any formal decision about where they're going.
Bears free agency and draft.
My major questions would surround the safety position.
Sure.
Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker. We have a safety that might retire.
I'll believe it when I see it.
What are the odds that you'll see both one or two, or neither?
I think higher odds for Kevin Byard. He came off a career year more or less. I mean, he led the league with in interceptions back in his Tennessee days.
Fantastic.
But he's on the other side of 30, so I think that there is a deal that can be worked out to keep him here on another 2-year stint. I think Brisker actually played his way out of what their price range is going to be.
Jeez.
He has a healthy season last year for the first time in his entire career.
Yep.
No concussion issues, which I know for him was a big deal. They can't keep both. So I think if you talk about how they're prioritizing guys, I think they're probably prioritizing Kevin Byard, knowing that that's probably a less expensive option and being able to retool they have 3 picks in the top 89. So I imagine that's a day 2 pick for them.
Is Ben Johnson's disdain for the Green Bay Packers real?
Yeah,
it's 10 to 10 real, isn't it?
I absolutely think it's real. I think that you watch those videos of him in the locker room afterwards, where he's riled up to say the least, and it makes it's tangible. This isn't fake. There's nothing fake about the dude tearing his shirt off in the Philly locker room, getting everybody around him to buy into the rah-rah nature. But that's the stuff with the Packers. I think that ownership, knowing how much the Green Bay and Chicago rivalry means to the McCaskies, they bought into that. The day after, they played on a Saturday for the wild card game. They win, and then Monday Ben talks, and the question of when you're saying bleep the Packers, I hate those guys. How did that sit with George McCaskey, who notoriously does not enjoy cursing?
Jeez.
He's like, George and I are on the same page. We met on the same page. So,
come on. Wow, that's fantastic. Courtney Cronin, ESPN, at Courtney R. Cronin via X.
It's a much easier discussion after you win.
Exactly.
How do you think the Bears are going to go about fixing the pass rush? Are they going to do it through the draft, free agency?
I think they have to do both, because if you a lot of the projections have 4 edge rushers off the board by the time they're on at 25. I don't love the defensive tackle class just from what we're seeing right now, because they've struck out on guys that they've gone all in on. Now, some of it, it's like, I think the Dio Odingbo thing came back to bite them last year when we're at week 8, right before he gets hurt, and we're talking about their very expensive pass rusher being moved inside, and a better run defender. Like, you don't, obviously you need a stout run defense, but they didn't pay you all that for that when you could have gone cheaper there. So I think that there's going to have to be a big emphasis on it in free agency and the draft. I don't think it's Max Crosby or
how
a trade.
How is Montez Sweat seen in that whole thing? Because that was a big move to bring him in. And
when they traded for him, he went lights out. I mean, he was phenomenal.
Right away.
But then
to get his contract, and then you pay him.
Right. But
he got the contract before he played it down in Chicago.
Wow,
he got it on the Saturday after he was traded.
And you're an elite football mind, so even though you weren't here when he played, Bryant McKinney. I mean, you remember him, you've heard about him, left tackle, stuff like that. Bryant had some start and stop to him. Like when Bryant tried and was engaged and got his hands on you, you weren't getting around him. Well, I watch Montez Sweat, and he reminds me of a defensive version of Bryant McKinney, where when Montez goes 10 of 10, he's tough to stop. But is that a fair analysis?
I think so, because there's times where, I mean, I think, first and foremost, your highest paid players should be your best players, like full stop. And there's been times where I feel like there have been some, not excuses, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's like, oh, well, we got to find him.
Outs.
Outs. Got to find ways to free him up more. Got to find ways to create more one-on-one matchups. Like, you're being paid as a top 10 edge rusher in this league. You've got to be more productive all the way around. And there have been times that it feels like he's just a guy out there, which that's okay if you're not making $24.5 million a year. That's okay if they had other options, but they've been saying it now for 2 off seasons. They want to put him in a better situation. The way that happens so he can be the best pass rusher he can be is to have somebody opposite him that can actually handle the load.
And, all right, so just a few more for Courtney Cronin, ESPN, because assumedly she has to get back to ESPN Cleveland for part 2 of the 20-minute conversation on Todd Monken and Deshaun Watson. You were over at that table forever.
I was.
Cow.
Hey, but I made it here on time.
Stupid question. I should know this. Did you attend the national championship game with your alma mater?
I didn't.
Oh, you couldn't make it. Playoffs.
The problem was I went to the Peach Bowl. I was hosting First Take on January 1st, and I couldn't make it to the Rose Bowl. I had so much FOMO. I was like, all right, if they win this game, I'm going to Atlanta. They not only won, they dominated Alabama. So my friends and I flew down to Atlanta for the Friday night Peach Bowl, and then the Bears win that playoff game on Saturday. Because I thought they were going to get scheduled on the Saturday window, and I thought, okay, maybe I could make it because win or loss, you at least have a day in between. But I didn't control my own schedule based on what was going to happen going into the NFC Championship, so I was not able to.
Okay, well, your Indiana Hoosiers, just dominating everybody, including the Canes, to win the national championship. Mendoza's going to be the first overall pick in the draft. He'll be the quarterback for the Raiders. It surprised me when I learned Texas A&M has 16 players here at the Combine. The Hoosiers have 9. They're like the 8th most.
Isn't that crazy?
I thought there'd be more than that, unless it was just a bevy of youthful exuberance.
I mean, they've dominated the transfer portal. They have guys coming back that were part of that JMU class that came over with Signetti. But 9 think about that for a second. The first guys going to the Raiders.
That's a great point.
Number 1
that's a great point.
They have not ever had that.
Yeah.
The fact they have 9 draftable prospects.
Great point. I was looking at it the other way. Like, you got to have more than that. Everybody watched you. You were that good. But 9 actually is a fat number for IU if it's not Dan Feeney, Jordan Howard, and Antoine Randall. Lastly from me, what's it like working? Because Courtney does so much elite work with ESPN TV. What's it like working with Stephen A. Smith?
He's great. There will never be anybody who grinds harder than him.
Yeah.
I'm
a fan.
He's got a work ethic that you can tell he was a beat writer a long time ago. I think he covered Philly sports.
Yeah, Philly Inquirer maybe.
Yep. He started as a desk clerk, and he was a beat writer for 20 years covering the NBA. I mean, it's awesome. I love doing it. I'm doing it a bunch throughout the next couple months, so I'm really excited.
What about Dan Orlovsky? I'm a big fan.
Yeah, he's great too.
His film study and his takes and how he meshes that together in television-related pithy fashion. That's an art.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And so, I wrote a story back in November about quarterback wristbands. Like, who uses them, who doesn't, what's the point of it, if you do use it, if you don't. And I went on NFL Live to kind of break down what I had learned, and it was actually kind of cool because this was when the Seahawks were kind of quietly on the rise, because Sam Darnold's used one before, and he gave a lot of really good insight on it. And the way that Dan then broke that down using a 40-second play clock to show you just how much information you have to fit into something like that in that short of time, that comes from being able to truncate it because you have wrist jacket 13 or whatever, wristband 10, however they minimize the verbiage. The way he explained that was, I was watching in my monitor. I'm like, wow, that's really fascinating the way he broke that down.
And lastly, fist bump. Courtney was on 9 to Noon last year in June. Okay, late June, early July, before training camp. I'm asking her about the newfangled Bears. She stamped Rome Odunze as being as effective as he was, and it was kind of under the cover of darkness. DJ Moore, all that stuff, Loveland, and she nailed it. But, in watching Bears games this year, not only against the Vikings, the way, because tight ends, having 3 tight ends who can do different things, and a running game. You can call it a passing league all you want. You can change the rules all you want. When you have the right tight ends and the right running game, you're going to go a long way offensively. The way he uses Loveland, then Durham Smythe from Miami and what he did, and Cole Kmet, who kind of does everything pretty well. And then the running backs with Monangai and Swift, that was kind of the secret sauce behind everything, right?
Yeah, it's a big part. Everybody thinks Ben Johnson, super creative play caller, all these wild pass plays. They're throwing the ball to the offensive lineman. Yeah, that's great. The run game is the foundation of his offense. Yeah. And they were the number 3 rushing offense last year, and it did not look like that the first 4 weeks of the season.
And the money spent on the interior of that offensive line
big time.
Started here. I remember asking him a year ago, I was like, so do you think you can flip your offensive line in one off season? And he was like, didn't show, or no foreshadowing he was going to do it in 5 days the next week
before free agency, which was smart.
They did the 2 trades, and then the Monday, right as the window opened, they made it clear that they were going after Drew Dahlman. But that changed everything.
And you still have questions at tackle? Yeah. Is that safe to say?
With Ozzie Trapillo, because he's got a patellar tendon injury, he's not going to be back anytime soon. What kind of player is he when he comes back? There's a second-round pick. You weren't sure he was going to be a left tackle. You find that he can play left tackle, but is it a stopgap measure? Is it potentially drafting somebody at 25? Then what happens? Are you creating a logjam? How does it work? That's a big one. That's a huge question for them.
I'm waving at my man over at the ESPN Cleveland table. Part 2 of what's next for Jerry Jeudy is just a few minutes away, okay?
Maybe it's DJ Moore. Maybe they'll trade him there.
Well, that was going to be one of the questions, too.
Hey, great job with women in the NFL and how it's growing. It's such a beautiful thing. Courtney Cronin, ESPN, ESPN.com, at Courtney R. Cronin via X, covers the Bears. 9 to Noon is eagerly awaiting the arrival of former Minnesota Vikings quarterback Jeff George. In fact, I'm going to head out to the concourse to find him. Be right back.